Welcome everybody to the latest episode of KapVista Klips. Today we have Dermot from Wych and my trusty psychic Layla. We're going to be going through and asking Dermot a bit about what he's doing and his background, so we can all get to know who he is and the amazing things that he's doing. Welcome, Dermot.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Awesome. So we'll kick it straight off. Tell us your story. Tell us a bit about you, your background, what got you to this point.
Yeah, well, my accent might give it away, but I'm originally Irish. I started in a technology background for Intel, the chip manufacturer, in their R&D lab many moons ago. From there, I moved into business and technology consulting. And that's really what gave me my base. I got to travel around, got to see lots of different people, work in different types of businesses, government, big businesses, small businesses. Yeah, that was kind of a basis of a skill set, which left me with this need for travel. And so we'll say maybe 15 years ago, myself and my partner bought a one-way ticket to Mexico. Traveled around for a year and found ourselves in Australia and subsequently in New Zealand. And we arrived at a time when there was a skills shortage down here, and we had the right skills for the shortage, and work just kept rolling. That's what got us started. I bumped into a few people who were working in the startup scene. They needed help. They needed help with a set of skills that I had. And I have subsequently moved through a series of startups, helping them grow through the different challenges they've had. Maybe 4 years ago, things started to change, but probably 5 now. We had twins. My partner took a year off to be with them for the first year, and I said I would do the second year. At the end of that first year, we'd realized going from dual income, no kids, to single income and 3 hungry mouths at home, it was very different to the Wolf of Wall Street lifestyle we'd lived before.
Yeah.
And I decided to take my skills and use them to try and optimize our lives. So at the time, I was working for a dashboarding company, working for businesses, giving businesses insight to their pieces. And I was sitting on a call with a major UK bank, and they were panicking. Their view was open banking was going to destroy them. People are going to know. People are going to know what we charge them. They're going to understand, and they're going to be able to change. And they were scared. I came off the call, turned to my partner at the time in company. I was saying, look, this is a great opportunity. We should be looking at this. I know we're looking at business, but the consumer angle on this is immense. But they were like, wrong field. We want to stay business. I asked them, would they mind if I take it? Not a problem. So I went off on the side and I founded Wych. I did some market research. I built some models. My very first model, I was able to identify $1,200 worth of savings for myself, which I was quite happy with. That moment of sitting down going, okay, it was an idea a month ago. Today, I have something concrete to look at which point the startup came back and said, you know what, that consumer thing sounds really interesting, would like to be involved. At which case I had to separate and say, look, I think it's time for me to step out. I've done the work and it's time to kick it off. And so that was essentially the founding of Wych in 2018, towards the end of it, almost 3 years ago now. And from there, we've essentially investigated the global world of open banking, because it's not just isolated to Australia and New Zealand. Europe is open. Only at the beginning of July, the US announced they wanted competitive banking industry, and the president signed an executive order to investigate competition in the financial services, which looks around data and how to make it easier for people to move, which is quite exciting because that's essentially open banking in the US. And so you've got Europe and all of these countries that are coming together into this idea that your data is yours and it should be yours to be able to make decisions on. And it's a perfect opportunity because we are arriving right now with a product that helps you make those decisions, but also does the work for you. So it takes a little bit of the stress out of doing what you're doing, because if we can automate it, then you don't have to, and you can live your life happily with the money working for you.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, I know it's it's a very lucrative industry, and there is a high demand in it. If you watch most news programs every night, there'll be one or two segments about trying to save money in the household and the rising cost of living. So any help, any tools that are available, they are very valuable for especially in Australia, where there's so many added pressures, and the mortgage, the cost of mortgages are rising. The cost of houses are rising, and there's all these added pressures. So I can see the appeal.
Well, look, personal finance is the number one leading cause of stress. Right? It's a piece we're always chasing. The housing market is escaping us. It's getting more expensive to get on board. And what we're trying to do is help people identify those little pieces of savings where they can start to optimize the other pieces. And we're doing that by, first of all, shaking the tree. But that doesn't really help in the long run. The idea is telling people, here's some $1,200 worth of savings, which was great for us, but that's not enough to make that work over time. What you need to do is take some of the stress out of doing that. And that's the piece where we're different to a lot of the digital financial advisors that have gone before, which are very good at telling you where you've been. But that's nagging. That's telling somebody you shouldn't have had the coffee. It's too late. I've had the coffee. I can't change that now. What can I do going forward? And so that's where we change. We go in and we start to make individual changes. We start to help people do it, and we automate that piece. We automate the savings at the end of the week. You got $50 left over. You weren't expecting it. Why isn't that going towards your goal? Maybe that's investing in shares or savings towards your deposit or down payment for a home. What is your goal? We identify the goal. We help you then move the money to sort that. And essentially, rather than continue to earn money, we're trying to convert people from having money into having wealth, and so that their actual money works for them instead. And you can do that on very large scale.
Okay, awesome.
And Dermot, what is your business model?
So it's a two-part model. It is a partnership that is working with businesses that want to enable their customers to make savings. So let's imagine you were an investment platform that sold shares. People don't put their milk and bread money into shares. They put their leftover money into shares. And so by partnering with those, we can help their customers free up the money to achieve their goals of investing. On the other side, we also work with industry, so your internet provider, your mobile provider, to enable you find the right fit product, because they get a lot of churn when their prices change. And they're not changing their prices because they want to get rid of customers. They're changing their prices because they want to offer a better service. And people tend to fall off and move around. So if we can help people identify the right level of service for them and help a business connect with a customer, they're engaging with somebody who's ready and willing to accept an offer that's valid and can be a better situation for both. And so by moving down that partnership model, we enable a greater market. And then it's direct to consumer. Automation is the ability to take control of your finances and essentially turn personal finances into an Uber-like experience. You say, I want to achieve something, like I'd like to go somewhere, you press go, and then you sit down, you finish your coffee, you walk out, get into a car, and you get out where you want to be. The same should be for your finances. You should be able to say, I want to buy a house. You set the goal. We automate the savings. We automate the management of your finances. And eventually we tell you, it's time, you have the deposit, where are you looking? And then we can help you identify where the houses are, what the average rates are for that area, what's the power bill, what's insurance like in that area, so that you're not buying into a house with absolutely no idea about the upcoming expenses. Well, when we bought our house, we were thrilled. We thought we'd done the best. We high-fived. And then 6 weeks later, we got our rate bill because the person who's selling a house wasn't going to pay their rates, right? They were going to push that out until the next quarter, which landed on us. And so we had several $1,000s of a rate bill that we weren't anticipating immediately after giving all of our money over to somebody else. And so by being able to predict those pieces and being able to bring all that information into one place, we help people avoid going down those routes of being stuck somewhere or being caught in an emergency situation.
Okay, so help us understand the solution from a from a consumer point of view? What does it look like?
So the easiest way to describe it is you open our app and you connect to your financial institution. So that's your bank, your building society, your credit cards, maybe your buy now, pay later service. And we bring all that information in. And the very first thing we do is we tell you where you are. We don't do budgeting because what we found is the people who like budgets already have one. The people who don't like budgets, that's essentially a New Year's resolution. It's really good until the first Monday after the new year, when you're back to work, you're stressed, and you have the coffee, you eat the chocolate, and you don't go to the gym, right? Budgets are really good right now as I make them, not next week. And so what we do is actually we reverse that, and we turn around and we push the information to the top and say, these are the things you need to look at. What are your goals? And then we remove the pieces that are distractions. So we focus only on those pieces at the top. And we let you know from the get-go that things are okay. These are the things you need to focus on. And these are the pieces that we can take care of. And we help people move through that process. As things pop up, we start to get smarter. The more you work with us, we can start to predict things. My favorite prediction is the upcoming birthdays. There is this thing that's coming, and normally you spend $100. You don't have $100 ready. Do you want to start putting money aside for that for next month? And that way you don't get surprised on the day, and out comes the credit card, and it goes back into that pile of, I'll worry about that at a later time. We can predict your expenses based on the patterns of your previous interactions. And so maybe that's a rego on your car or a WAF or those kind of annual expenses that come up that you forget about until the day you have to pay for it and you realize, I have to do that now, and it wasn't aside.
Oh, awesome.
And that's it. The idea is very simple insights into your finances. If you want to know more, you can drill down. We have the ability to move into why we made that decision, and you can then start to tune the little settings that are right for you. But for the most part, it should work from day one.
Okay, perfect. That's very, very handy. I'm one of those people that forgets the rego and forgets things that are coming up. I know I've got to pay them. I just don't know when. My wife is the one that's on top of everything and has it all written down. So I can see the need. So tell us more about the industry, the clients, the partners. How does it all fit into the ecosystem, and what's your focus? You said you've got your partners, your telecommunication companies that you can partner with, and then your clients. So how does it fit in?
Well, we are essentially driving a wedge into the middle of the ecosystem. Right now, there's consumers who sit on one side and they do all of their stuff on their own. And on the other side, there's businesses and they do all of their stuff on their own. And they only interact when things go wrong, right? You only ever call up your mobile phone provider or your internet provider when you're not having a good experience. Mm-hmm. You only call your bank when you really need money. Otherwise, you never interact. And so we're not getting customer value and we're not getting business value. What we're doing is we're putting that wedge right in the middle and operating as the intermediary in that space. We're able to bring all the consumers' information into one place for them to be able to see how their life works. And then we're putting those connections out into the businesses that they operate with and say, hey, look, we can help manage that interaction. Now that works for the businesses because they now can directly communicate with a customer who's engaged. And we have a customer who's looking for control of their finances. They're looking to have that win that they need to buy a new car, get the house. Maybe they're like us and get surprised that it's twins. Whatever it is, it means that you can actually make the changes to be prepared. And by putting that in the middle, we're actually bringing together business value and customer value. And it is that single pane of glass for the entire piece. And because we can operate accounts, we can manage accounts and transfer money for people, we can help people avoid some of those red marks that occur by simple mistakes. Your card expires, you don't have money or funds in your account at the time, and you get a mark on your credit history. By being able to preempt all of those pieces, the businesses never have to engage in that negative interaction with a customer to say, hey, you didn't pay us, which involves a customer getting embarrassed or defensive because the money was there, it just didn't happen at the right time. We end up building a more positive relationship between two parties. And so our first lot off the rank, we're talking to the insurers because they have an expensive, necessary product. And there's lots of different types of interactions they have, not just buying your premium, but let's say you crash your car, or even where somebody crashes into you. You have to go pay an excess maybe on that piece, but you might not have that money right now. So the insurer says, I'll put the 10,000 over here, and whenever you have your $1,000 to put to it, we can fix the car. But if you're not prepared for that, how do you manage that repairs on your car? You end up going into debt, you end up calling somebody. But if you can bring together all of your different payment methods into one place, you can actually see the best rate to pay at that time. So you can look and say, hey, look, actually, that buy now service is the right choice because I will be paid in 3 weeks' time and I can start to part pay that out. Or my credit card is definitely the best because my credit card doesn't charge interest for the first 6 months on things that are $1,000 or over. And so you can now see the cost, the true cost of that interaction. You get your end result, which is a happy fixed car, and drive away. The insurer is not the bad guy sitting there saying, well, I put my 10,000, where's your one? And that puts them in a better position because they can get their customers out driving much faster. The same goes for other types of institutions. So for example, let's imagine you are a buy now, pay later service. You've got a very competitive market to work in, and you want to put something in front of your customers to demonstrate how much you are better than the competitors. This is what we call our what if machine. This is where you can show your customers, if you had just used our service, this is how much you would have saved. Or if you would use our service, this is how many air miles you would have gained. Air miles are going to be great right now because at the end of this COVID lockdown, everybody's going to be flying everywhere. So the more you can get over this piece, the better everyone will be. So why not start to bring those together? And by showing people those pieces, you can actually help people say, it's not the right decision to use this one, it is the right decision to use that one. And so by bringing these together, these partners like credit card schemes or buy now, pay later services are looking for a way to demonstrate to their customers that they're the right way, because it's a very competitive space right now.
Yeah.
Nice. So you already mentioned some of the milestones, but if you can just summarize the most important ones that you achieved so far.
Yeah. So I suppose that this time last year, we were chosen as the ACCC's test partner for the CDR framework. So we spent 3 months working with them, testing and validating their systems, making sure these things were all right. And we came out the back of that with a big high five, lots of success. And we've essentially spent the year building towards where we are right now, which is our early access program. So we have a platform which can now serve New Zealand, Australia, the UK, Ireland within 18 months. We can drive to the rest of Europe inside 36 months, which will hopefully line up with the US, Canada, and Mexico for the 48 months and beyond. And that means we're now accepting people onto the platform. We're testing and validating those pieces. We're trying to get there so that when the first customers come on after launch, that they're getting that really crisp experience, the one that shows where their data is understood and they're getting the best insights. Because when you have a data platform, the most important piece is early data. The more varied customers you have on and the more you have before you go launch is always the better result. And so that's what we're focusing on now. Yeah. And we're going to make sure that we have a really polished launch.
Yeah, awesome. So about the industry, thinking about, your platform and your client base, how is I'd say your fintech, your data, your platform. So how has that changed in the last 5 years? I mean, you'd be the best person to sort of answer this because you've had a global experience and you've been in different roles and been with different startups. So how has it changed?
Well, I would say 5 years ago, your data wasn't yours. That's the first piece. Banks and all businesses had large buckets of data which they used to help make business decisions about you. They were able to say whether I sell something to you, whether this is a price that works for you, and they were able to tailor a product to you really well. But you weren't able to see if that product was well tailored for you. It was only based on their assumptions. In the last 5 years, that's changed. That information is now yours, and you can now use that same information to work out if that is a good product for you. And so this is the first piece. The second piece is the ease of interaction. going over the last 5 years, most of those things were individual interactions with a whole load of institutions. You had to manually go out there and essentially send emails, ring places to get access to your information. Now you can bring that together in a really simple API-based way, which is just a nice way of saying there's a contract between you and a business to share a certain type of information really easily. And then the most recent piece is a lot of the more advanced technologies that have come out of being able to leverage cloud, which is just shared infrastructure that sits outside there, means the cost to operate has come down really low. And you can actually get access to services that once required a Google-sized business to be able to run. You can now leverage the volume of Microsoft and Google and Amazon and be able to get the insights as a business to be able to deliver that to your customers. And so the cost to deliver this has gone rock bottom. The available information has shot up. And in the middle, you have this opportunity to be able to join those dots, which didn't exist. And so the change of the last 5 years has been substantial.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then where do you, I mean, this could be an open-ended question because you don't know, but where do you see it's going in the next 5 years? So people who are looking at this space are thinking, how do they, especially from an investment point of view, how do they predict or how do they, understand on where the industry is going?
So if the first step is being able to read your information, the second step is being able to write your information. And so that's the process that we're moving into now. So there's two pieces to that. Being able to update your information from anywhere. That allows you, for example, to not rely on your bank's app to transfer money. So you can transfer money between all of your banks in one place. That type of writing ability, being able to change and move your information outside of the institution, that's going to be a major piece in the next 5 years. The second piece is being able to bring in a lot of that blockchain technology to make that safer, to make the recording of that and the distribution of that a lot more, we'll say business friendly, because it doesn't have to be user friendly, just as long as the user gets the value from it. So what you would see there is maybe the tenancy for your house or the mortgage or any of those pieces of information being available on a blockchain. Being able to put your license and registration, your insurance, which means essentially all of your assets, all of the things that you're using will become digital. And in doing so, you'll be able to pull that information into a service like ours, where your entire life becomes digitized, and we can help you manage those things as they come along. So next time you buy a TV, your insurance policy can be automatically updated. Your laptop breaks, you just tap your phone and say, laptop's broken, a new laptop arrives. The idea is your life should be as simple as saying, I want a coffee, and then going getting the coffee without ever having to stop and do that painful tapping on glass or swiping a card or queuing. It should be as simple as, I want it, I can afford it, therefore I should have it, and being able to really streamline that process. So when your milk runs out, you'll tap your fridge and say, need more milk, and an hour later, milk is sitting on your doorstep. You didn't have to go find your credit card, tap it into a service and mess about with those pieces. It's really streamlined. So that's the next 5 years is going to be really turning the blockchain world and the associated worlds around that into a really smart, integrated financial life and beyond.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it sounds exciting to me, but I think that the next 5 to 10 years is going to be very interesting. The adoption of the technology is going to be the crucial part. But I think major financial institutions they're not dragging their heels. They're just seeing the market and how it evolves, and then we'll act.
Where they are right now is they don't have to move.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have to move because essentially everything resides with them. This is where the world of cryptocurrencies is going to change some of that, because you don't have to be with them. And once you don't have to be with them, they're going to have to change. They're going to have to be more customer friendly in that way. I recently had an interaction with a bank that was 45 minutes on a call. That shouldn't have to happen anymore. No. There's no need for that. We have loads of ways of automating these pieces. I recently worked with a piece of accounting software, and it was semi-smart in its interaction. I filed an an invoice. I put it under general expense because I didn't really know what it should go under. And they came back with a suggestion that this has been declined. It should be under light and power. And that's close, right? Their system was smart enough to see that I'd misfiled it, but it wasn't smart enough to make my life easier.
Yeah.
The first thing they could have done was make the switch and say, click here to file it under the correct one. Yeah. That's good. But saying we've automatically filed it under the correct one, click here if we're wrong, that's great. And that piece doesn't exist yet. People aren't doing that. They're doing just enough to make customers happy. And I think where we're bringing in that is that change to say, there's no reason we can't do that for you. And I think that's where we're going to spend the next 5 years, is taking those things off people's lists rather than putting them on.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I'll let Layla ask you about the raise, and everything else like that.
Yeah. So just let us know what is your ask, what is the momentum so far, which investors have you been talking to, and what are going to be the use of funds.
Yeah, so we're raising 1.5 on a 6 million pre-money valuation. So that's 20%. We now have our first 2 investors on board, which is fantastic. Our motivation around the investment, while we don't need it at this stage, we do know that some of the partners we're working with, some of the larger enterprises, do have a necessity to validate that we have enough runway to survive their level of experience. So imagine you're dealing with a large credit card company. They want to know that you have a runway to survive the 9 months it's going to take for them to be able to deliver on their part. And so they want to do their due diligence on us. And so we know we need to be able to demonstrate external support in this business other than just the capabilities within the team. And so on the financial perspective, that's why we're looking to pull that in. The other side is, these are very big companies. These have multi-million volumes of customers. And to be able to ensure that we can support that, we need to grow the team to be on the other side. So the last thing you want to do is fail through success by winning a customer with 5 million customers and not being able to support them the way they need to be able to be supported. And so we want to grow the team. We want to be able to deliver to the expectations of these enterprise customers. And the last piece is we want to make a really big bang when we hit the market. We want people to know that essentially that the world has changed. It's no longer a case of being nagged at. It's a chance for you to take control, and we're here to do it for you. And so we really want to grow the team and really make that piece what we believe it can be.
You're on mute. I think you're on mute. That's awesome. So excited to see where it takes you. For us and our audience and anybody watching this, if you are interested to speak to Dermot and find out more about which, what we'll do is I'll put my details and Layla's details in the video, and you can reach out directly to us and we can make that introduction, because I think certainly it's going to be a very, very good conversation. The space that they're playing in is, I think everybody is a customer. Everybody who is going through their lives can need that they will need a bit of financial help or even guidance at some point. So everybody is potentially a customer, which is exciting because your addressable market is large, colossal. Very large. So as they grow and they start to connect into different jurisdictions, different countries, and get bigger, it's their client base is going to be bigger and bigger. And now's the time to get involved. So we'll wrap it up at that. Thank you very much for jumping on the call with us today. It was great to hear about Which and what you're doing. As I said, we'll put the details on the video and in the description. And if you have any questions, please let us know. We'll put you in touch with Dermot.
Thank you very much, guys.
No problem.
It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for your time. All right.
Okay. Bye.